Guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Adeline and for my current subscribers, welcome back to another episode of Meal Prep 101. So in order to help you to become the next meal prep ninja, I will be sharing my 7 meal prep tips today. They're all really simple but tips that would make your meal prep in life a whole lot easier. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any meal prep tips again. And okay, let's get on to tip number 1. Always cook extra protein and freeze them as what I call emergency meals. So when I cook my protein such as chicken or mince, I don't usually measure the exact amount that's required for the week. There's usually at least 1 extra servings which I'll freeze them. So on weeks where I'm just really lazy to cook, and yes, that does happen, I have these emergency meals ready to be eaten in the freezer. So all I need is to add in some frozen vegetables and half a cup to a cup of rice, and voila, I have a healthy and balanced meal without having to cook. So there you go. So tip number 2 is always start with the dishes or ingredients that take the longest to cook. In most cases, this is usually the carbs, such as rice, sweet potatoes, pumpkin, unless your poultry needs marinating. I don't usually marinate my chicken or beef or whatever that I cook, so it's usually the carbs. Get these ingredients started, then you can move on to chopping, washing up your other ingredients. So when I first started meal prepping, I always start my session with chopping and washing my ingredients. Big rookie. Now that I've practiced this tip, my meal prep time has halved, which is amazing because who doesn't like to save time? So when you meal prep this weekend, don't forget to start with the one that takes the longest and report back and let me know how it goes. Okay, so moving on to meal prep tip number 3. Portion and sort your meals into individual containers so you can grab and go. Alright, so before I elaborate further on this point, let me ask you a question. Why is meal prepping an attractive option? That's because you only need to prep once, cook once, and you get to enjoy the food all week long. Why not make it even more convenient by adding in a grab and go wow factor? That's right. So if you're like myself, always out and about, meetings here, meeting there, never home to prepare food, portioning them into individual meals can be a huge time saver. It only takes you an extra 5 to 10 minutes after you prepare your meals each week to weigh them and sort them out into individual container. But it can save you a whole lot of time during the week. Also, makes your life a whole lot easier. If you're currently tracking your macros, portioning out your food into individual containers means you don't have to do those complicated macro math daily. So I personally enjoy math, but having to calculate macros daily can be quite a pain in the ass as well. So by portioning your food out into individual containers, you get most of your macros sorted for the week, and you get extra room to add in your favorite snack or treats during the week. Isn't that a win-win situation? Alright, so now we're halfway there. Moving on to meal prep tip number 4. Utilize the same ingredients for different meals to minimize wastage and save some money. So I've touched on this tip already in my Why I Meal Prep video, which I'll link down in the description box below. Basically what this tip means is maximize the usage of each of your ingredient and use it for multiple meals rather than using different ingredients for different meals. So rather than having a range of different ingredients for your meals, say lunch and dinner, be more savvy with the ingredients and use it for multiple meals. So another great example on top of my chicken mince example in my Why I Meal Prep video, think about sweet potatoes. So rather than using it just for one meal, why not make sweet potato chips for lunch and make mashed sweet potato for dinner? Or you can even cube them into tiny cubes and put them in your salad. Multi-purpose for the week. We're all about minimizing wastage and saving you some cash money. Alright, tip number 5. I think you guys would probably find this your favorite. Trust me on this. So block out 2 to 3 meals a week as your appointment meals when you're meal planning, and do not prep for this meal. So yes, tip number 5 is asking you to not prep for a few days. Told you you would like this tip. Alright, so when you're putting together your meal plan for the week, allow a few appointment meals where you just leave it out for appointments, catch-ups or meetups with your friends, because we're only human and we're not competing for the bikini competition, so a few meals out with your friends is okay. And this is to ensure that you don't have a lot of unused or uneaten meals in the fridge or freezer due to unforeseen plans. What I usually do is allocate a breakfast, lunch and dinner meal where I kind of book in my appointments or catch up with my friends, and I'm usually quite flexible on weekends, so that kind of gives me the room to move around on my appointments and whatnot, and also not feel guilty of all the uneaten food in the freezer. So tip number 6 is prepare the ingredients of your smoothie or shake in advance and also put them into individual freezer bags. So all you need to do on the morning itself is just to blend. Alright, so think about this. You could sleep in an extra 10 to 15 minutes in the morning, or you want to spend this time washing and cutting up fruits and vegetables. I think the winner is quite obvious here. So what I like to do is wash up the vegetables and fruits, or you can opt for frozen ones. I usually go for frozen fruit because I'm lazy. So basically wash them up, cut them up and store them into individual freezer bags. So on the morning itself, all you need to do is just to pour in the liquid of choice, add in some extra green powder, superfood that you want to add in, and your protein powder. So none of those meal replacement rubbish. You make your own smoothie pack. Be way happier when you get to snooze for extra 10 to 15 minutes. Trust me on this. Tip number 7 and the final tip is spice things up, baby. Try saying spice things up really quickly. Spice things up, spicing up. Give it a go. And let me know how you went in the comment below. So spices should be your best friend when it comes to adding extra flavor to your food and making your food taste delicious. If you currently ain't cooking with spices, you gotta get on it, girl. So spices is one of the best way and macro-friendly way to add so much flavor to your food without adding extra calories and keeping your food healthy. Spices is also a great way to add variety to your food. So if you're craving for Mexican today, paprika and cumin would be your good friend. Or if you feel like eating Italian, you can add some oregano or thyme leaves into your tomato sauce. Or if you're feeling like Indian food tonight, you may add in some curry powder and cumin powder. This is what I like to do. I like to use spices to change up my cuisine for my food when I'm meal prepping. So you gotta give it a go. Why waste your calories on dressings and seasoning when you can spend it on, say, a cup of ice cream or a chocolate bar? No? You'd rather go with the peri peri sauce? Really? Really? Alright, so I think I should stop being weird and end it here. Those are my top 7 tips, so I'm just going to quickly recap it before I go. Number 1 is always cook extra protein and freeze them to be used as emergency meals. And number 2, always start with dishes or ingredients that take the longest. And tip number 3 is portion and sort your food into individual containers so you can grab and go. Number 4, utilize the same ingredients for different meals to save some money and minimize wastage. And tip number 5 is block out 2 to 3 meals a week as your appointment meals and do not prep for this meal. Tip number 6 is prepare the ingredient for your smoothie and shakes in advance. So all you need to do in the morning is to add in some liquid and blend. And the last and final tip of the day is make friends with spices and add extra flavors to your food with spices. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed today's video and find the tips helpful. And for those of you who has not meal prepped, I really hope that these tips really kind of make you want to start meal prepping. And for those of you who are already meal prepping, I hope these tips help cut your meal prepping time shorter. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video today, don't forget to give it a thumbs up because it really supports my channel. And if you think any of your friends, family, partner, housemate, or I don't know, just anyone who could learn a thing or two from these tips, would appreciate heaps if you can share this video with them because the more the merrier and sharing is caring. Alright, so that's all for today. I'll catch you in my next video. Over and out.